So this is kind of obviously unusual Wednesday, but it's Thursday of our week, right? So it's our first Thursday practice. We'd actually practiced this practice last week to just kind of give the guys that are new with us what a Thursday practice means. It's a shorter, crisper, all four phases of the kicking game, including field goal in there as well. So it's a little bit different practice, a lot of quick tempo. We're really trying to execute game day communication, game speed. Not a lot of physicality to it, but we were really sharp from an injury standpoint. JC's practiced with us all week, so he's good to go. Anybody else? There might be a couple guys that are in our borderline 2 deep, some special teams guys at soft tissue that we got to get where we need to be. But other than that, we've been pretty clean through fall camp and excited to get to Friday night.
Yeah, I've asked before, but where do you stand roster-wise? Are you going to have to make any moves?
Before? No. So we had 3 guys. J.J. Hurtis, Tywan Cox, and John Forrester. Those guys will be unable to compete with us this fall. So that allows us to add 3 more guys there, and that takes our roster to. We're still waiting on clarification from the NCAA for 1 person, but other than that, all 116 that join us will be with us.
Yesterday, the guys, Xavier and Matt, really raved about Miles and his intellect and his ability to communicate back there. What's that bring to your defense when you have?
Yeah, Miles, and again, I go to what he learned his first couple of years, right? I was going back and forth with Isaiah Williams this morning, and I remember when he transitioned from quarterback to wide receiver, he was amazed how much he was more advanced than a wide receiver room because they had never seen it through the eyes of a quarterback. Same thing with Miles now going from wide receiver to DB. I think when he has learned the first 2 years of college football through the eyes of a wide receiver, when he goes over to defense, he understands splits, he understands alignments, he knows that guy's aligning there for a reason, and he shares that with everybody else. So Miles is a great communicator. He's not an overly outspoken guy, but when he speaks very well.
In a roster with so much depth and a lot of positions where a lot of guys will play, how do you decide who gets announced as the starters?
Well, when a guy gets announced, that's going to who we project to play the first game, but we've got design rotations. One of the big takeaways I took from the NFL is once you get above a certain level of big skill, obviously the ability to play a whole game is there. But once you start getting in our bigs like O-line, D-line, sometimes outside backer, it's probably to cut those guys' roster or their reps to somewhere in the 40 to 50 range. Some guys are only in the 30 range, and because of that, just simple math, you're going to have 2 or 3 guys playing the same position. So it's a little bit of a trial through this first game, but we have a set rotation for the most part. Everybody going in. I think specifically, like when you start looking at running back, we're only going to have 1 of those guys on the field. There might be sets where you have a couple out there, but for the most part, you have 1 running back. You have 11 personnel, which has 3 wide receivers, right? If we want to rotate through 6 to 7 guys, we want to have that set, that rotation planned out way before game day.
You talk about playing more 12 personnel than you have. Just what does the ability to go seamlessly between 11 and 12 do for this offense?
Well, I think 2 things, right? Just you got to work to your roster strengths, and really the first 4 years we've been here, they really hadn't recruited tight ends the way that we wanted to here. Unfortunately, for the way things played out the first couple of years here in our program, we had some guys, Luke, obviously Cole being a guy a year ago that we had planned on and catered to, and had taken him, and then went towards the ACL. That really left us really just with Tanner. Henry Boyer was in there a little bit, but he was battling through some issues, and it wasn't really quite what we were looking for. So it's really the first time we've got 5, really, in my opinion, tight ends that we feel can go out there and play winning football, which allows us to hopefully play some 12 personnel and bigger.
With a more veteran roster, does it change any way you want to approach the redshirt rule in 4 games for certain guys that maybe? By far,
this will be the smallest amount of true freshmen that I've ever played for me since I've been here. Right now, the only guy that we've got targeted to play as a true incoming freshman would be Zanai Scott. I think Braden Trimble, Carson Boyd. There's a couple linemen in the mix, a couple outside linebackers, inside backers. But right now, going into the game, the only guy that I've given a green light to play as a true freshman is Zanai Scott.
With Zanai, is that a combination of special teams and defense? I mean, just given who you have.
Yeah, that's the conversation we had with him. Like, hey, we want to play. He's literally sitting at a 2. So I said, hey, if we get a chance to get your feet wet, we're going to play on some special teams. And he was all for that. He wants to get out there and get involved. Very similar to Xavier. Not different. Again, I know his brother, and they look a lot alike, and they're named a lot alike. But he's a completely, in my opinion, he's not completely different because a lot of the great qualities are there, but he's very, very similar to Xavier in mentality, just different skill set.
How important is this game to rebuild, I guess, the confidence of Caden Fagan after coming back from a significant injury?
Yeah, we're excited. Obviously, 2 weeks ago, you guys didn't get to see it. We played a live live scrimmage, and he got hit, and it was good because I think he needed to be refreshed on what that is and how that played out. All of our running backs, Caden, Aiden, and Khalil, all three of them, and then all the other guys have been tackled already. So I thought it was important, but yeah, Caden looks extremely good. He's very locked into what he's doing. I think him, Thad, and Aiden, and also Khalil, those guys in the running back room with James White have got something really good going.
Is there anything specific that you want to see from Caden?
Well, I just, with all of our running backs, whoever's in there, I want them to execute the play. The big thing is each one of them are going to be called into specific situations. I think there's every down backs that play, first and second down. I think we have some guys that are involved in certain packages, and I'll let that play out during the game. But I think that's always the best of coaches is you play to your players' strengths and minimize their weaknesses.
I'm sure we've asked you this before, but how does a Friday night game impact, whether positively or negatively impact recruiting?
Well, it does conflict with Friday nights, right? And this is the first week of high school football as well. I put out a couple of videos. We send videos every week to our top recruits, whether they're committed or uncommitted. So there's a natural conflict there. We do have some schools that are going to be here in attendance because they're playing on Thursday night. And then, of course, we'll have the ability to track some stuff on Saturday. So it's disadvantages to some and advantages to other. I think I remember when I first got into coaching in 2006, we released a statement in the Big Ten that we didn't want to play Friday night games, right? I was encouraged to do that because my uppers told me to do that. But now I think Friday night gives you a unique challenge to have a market that no one else can. So the impact across the country is pretty high.
Going into the year today, as opposed to when you first got here, just how much different is the feeling now than
from the first year?
Yeah,
Oh boy,
21.
yeah, a lot different. Now I know my guys. There really isn't a player out there that we don't have a good understanding of what I believe, who they are, what they are. Kind of the flip. This morning I talked to. In the last 48 hours or 24 hours, I've talked to several of my former players that are going through it at the next level, right? I shot a couple guys words of encouragement this morning, and they're like, "Coach, I'm going to be there Friday," right? And I said, "Well, have you got tickets? Because it's a little different world than when you used to come here, right?" And it was funny. Isaiah Williams is coming in. He's like, "Miles is going to let me know." I said, "Well, Miles has got tickets, but I'm the head coach. I got some tickets, my friend, right?" So to have that and to have those guys come back and see it, I know Bret just told me that Western Michigan sold out, so. To have two sellouts already where we're at, I think we're within 1,000 of USC. So if anybody doesn't have theirs, they better get theirs. So it's fun to see that part of it. But I just want to get to Friday night. I want to play a game because then you get in your rhythm, you get in your role, and not only just for me as a head coach, but our players, our coaches, everybody just wants to play a game.
What does it mean to you and the community to have that first game of the season be a sellout like that and have the community be behind you?
Yeah, well, I don't think this one is yet, but it's close. But I do know that there's a lot of buzz. And I get it, Washington, Illinois, they're coming in, this is their big game. Obviously they play Northwestern after us, but they're a team that went in and played every game with their hearts out. They're going to come in here with a lot of great emotion, but I think for our fans to have a Friday night game, to have the atmosphere, to have all day, it's a lot of times when we get done with the day, it's not the game, it's the experience, and to see a mom and a husband walk off with three of their kids and everybody smiling, that's kind of truly, I don't know if it's now because I'm a dad, right? But to have that moment is pretty cool.
Right, yesterday you had a lot of guys make roster, but within those guys in the NFL, but within those guys, you have a lot of starters. They're very high impact guys. What's that do for your program when you have guys making such an chase? I
did a piece the other day about our roster, where we're at, and the three biggest things to building our roster are retention, removal, and the third thing is being able to show comparisons, right? Like, hey, you are just like this guy. Like I remember when we recruited Russell Wilson, he was on the heels of Scott Tolzien, right? And we were battling out Auburn, and they were telling him he was the next Cam Newton. And I remember telling Russ, hey, I don't need you to be the next Cam Newton. I need you to be the best Russell Wilson. So I've kind of always told kids, right, like what we have done with players in the past is an indicator of what can happen to you, but you come here and write your own story. And I think, it's going to be fun for this year for Gabe Backus at the end of the year, who I think was highly influenced by Johnny Newton and Evan Witherspoon. Completely different positions, but same storyline. I think those are the things that really help us build our roster.